So here is my CNC in all of its haphazard glory. As you can see right here, I am doing a bit of engraving into a piece of laminated scrap wood. I've got a plaque that I'm going to make that I want to do some test runs on, checking the fonts and speeds and things like that. So that's what's happening here. My bed is just a big half-inch chunk of plastic with screw holes threaded down into it for clamping. My X and Y are these linear actuators with NEMA 17 motors on them, running the whole thing on an Arduino Uno with the shield. I ended up buying a 500 watt spindle. The other little motor was just not enough. I've got optical end stops. There's my spindle power supply and my motor control stuck to the frame with a magnet. This is all just scrap unistrut for the frame. There it is. Oh yeah, I've got a tablet over here I sometimes use for grinding remotely. Hard drive magnets for holding my common tools. Expect no less from me. But there you go. Mostly built out of scrap stuff. That aluminum mounting plate for the motor, I milled that from my previous, or the same machine but a different spindle motor. But there it is. Doing its thing. It's actually fairly accurate. I'm 268 steps per millimeter because those linear actuators are ball screws. So it's pretty accurate, it's pretty tight, very repeatable. There it is. Exciting stuff. One of my first cuts I made right here. When I first got it working, I put an engraving tip on and carved this out and was pretty pleased with the accuracy of it and what I could create. I was pretty excited about that. Yes, cat themed, of course. Here's my horrible 775 DC motor that I slapped on there. Moving on. Trying out some different kinds of plastics. Cuts right through them. It makes a huge mess, but it does actually cut decently. So that was one of the reasons I built this, was to be able to make some plastic and metal mounts for better 3D printing. And now that I'm working in CNC, I like it almost more than doing the 3D printing. So who knows where this is going to go. Here's something I was making over Christmas. A design that I made in Fusion 360. And it cuts wood great, obviously. Here's the final product. I don't know what kind of wood this is. It's some old red shelving from some closets. But it cuts fantastic. It's super hard. I didn't even sand this. This is just a rough cut on this part. With the... I forget what bit it is, but you know, nothing fancy, and it turned out great. And here I'm cutting aluminum extrusion. Got a whole bunch of this scrap extrusion, and I can't do anything with it because I can't mill 20 millimeter holes for the fasteners, but now I can. So now I can start using all this scrap stuff to build some actual better machines. So there you go. That's my CNC update. Hope it was worth the wait. Forgotten how much time it takes to punch out video, but thankfully I can rest with a cat when I'm done. Oh, wait, there was more I was going to say about this. So I have, and not from where I work, I have these long linear actuators. They're about 4 feet long. Linear bearings, stepper motors, whatnot. They are not a step direction type of motor. So I had put together this interface to drive them. They're CAN bus serial motors. I hate them, but I bartered for them and have them, and I've been trying to use them. So ultimately I want to build another larger CNC using these more heavy-duty components. And as long as I'm here, this is how I pulled it off. I used an Arduino Uno and a CAN bus transceiver. to take my step and direction inputs from a Mega 2560 and then sent serial commands to these motors, hoping that I could make some type of a step direction interface rather than just sending them either rotation and speed or a position and speed. It ended up failing badly. Not because I didn't get the interface to work, but this is just outside of the scope of the machine. So what I've ended up doing is using a external stepper driver and just bypassing the electronics altogether, wiring that directly to the coils of these are NEMA 34 motors. And it's working okay. It's not what I wanted, but it's working. So that's the method I'm going to use to build these into a larger CNC. And as long as I'm talking about it, I am trying to use these motors in their velocity mode where they just rotate at a given speed. They're very accurate for that. So I used an interface, or I made an interface here with Arduino Nano and a display and some buttons so that I can control this motor forward and reverse and then set speeds for it. And I put that together. This is going to be battery powered, so I've got a 5 volt to 12 volt USB adapter, so a USB in 5 volts, I get out 12. That runs the Nano. Nano sends serial communication to the CAN bus transceiver, and then that drives the motors. This is going to be for a camera slider project, hopefully. Okay, now I'm done talking about CNC. Maybe I didn't need to talk about all that, but that's the project that I'm working on right now, and that's where my previous project has been. I'm still using it, so that CNC has worked out well.